In the late 2nd century AD, the Greek writer Pausanias wrote an account of how around 2,600 years ago in one night, a powerful earthquake destroyed the great city of Helic, with a tsunami washing away what remained of the once flourishing metropolis. The city, capital of the Achaean League, was a worship center devoted to the ancient god Poseidon, god of the sea. There was no trace of the legendary society mentioned outside of the ancient Greek writings until 1861, when an archaeologist found some loot thought to have come from Helic, a bronze coin with the unmistakable head of Poseidon. In 2001, a pair of archaeologists managed to locate the ruins of Helic beneath the mud and gravel of the coast, and are currently trying to piece together the rise and sudden fall of what has been called the real Atlantis. Located in Alknacraig, Faithfully, West Dunbartonshire, Scotland, near Cochno Farm, the Cochno Stone is a notable cup and ring-marked rock, also referred to as Whitehill 1-inch or the Druid Stone. The Cochno Stone is renowned for its exceptional display of Bronze Age carvings, housing numerous grooved spirals, carved indentations, intricate geometric designs, and enigmatic patterns. Experts in archaeology are unable to definitively ascertain the true meaning behind these carvings, which include depictions resembling celestial bodies like planets and stars. It remains uncertain whether it represents a celestial or terrestrial map, or served as an altar for ceremonial practices. Measuring approximately 42 by 26 feet, this massive Bronze Age slab displays around 90 meticulously crafted indentations, making it one of the most exceptional collections of petroglyphs in Scotland. Stonehenge in England remains a celebrated prehistoric site, but several similar sites have been found around the world, with one being near Mullumbime in the northern area of New South Wales. The site was originally discovered in 1939. It was damaged quite badly during the 1940s. Because of this, the location of the site has been a secret to prevent further damage. Dating back to the Paleolithic era, it is one of the oldest standing stone structures in the world. The 181 sandstone stones could not have occurred naturally, and the nearest sandstone quarry is nearly 12 miles away. Inscriptions on the stones could also prove to be one of the oldest human languages ever discovered, and lost letters recently rediscovered show that the original discoverer translated around 28,000 of the language's words. In 2013, archaeologists in Egypt discovered a stone panel engraved with what may be the earliest known depiction of spiders in the world. The panel is likely around 6,000 years old, making it older than the ancient Egyptian civilization. The suggestion that the drawings are spiders is tentative but reasonable. The carved ovals with 4 thin, bent legs sticking out of each side look very much like a stick spider picture. A star-like shape may be a web, and comb-like rows of lines could be a web funnel. Dr. Heather Lynn, an author and proponent of alternative archaeology, suggests the carvings actually represent the Sirius star system. Older star charts are known, and ancient people definitely liked to look up. There's much more evidence for Egyptian astronomy than for an interest in spiders. There's also the possibility that both are correct. And some poor souls from 4000 BC went through their lives believing the sky was full of arachnids. Some of the most unusual artifacts of Bronze Age Europe are 4 golden hats, or the cones. Ranging in height from 30 centimeters to nearly a meter, the hats are made of almost 90% gold and are decorated with extremely elaborate concentric circles of symbols. The oldest known is the Berlin Cone, which was created around 1300 BC and discovered in 1835. It's covered in 1,739 sun and moon symbols, placing it at the limits of metalworking technology of its time. Among the suggestive uses for the cones have been hats for suits of armor, ceremonial vases, decorations for a place of worship, and even hats for wizards, more properly called priest astronomers. A modern analysis of their decoration suggests the cones accurately portray solar and lunar cycles, or first observed by astronomer Meacham of Athens in the 5th century BC, meaning Proto-Celtic cultures were centuries ahead of their time. First recorded in the 15th century, the Italian folk dance tarantella gets its name from an Italian wolf spider referred to as a tarantula. Muscle spasms, delirium, and death were associated with its bite. Legend has it the sweaty, gyrating dance developed to flush the toxin out of the body. Musicians wandered fields expecting pay to play for the plague. This upbeat tambourine grove soon became the iconic dance of southern Italy. This cure remained in place for 300 years until people began to investigate. British playwright Oliver Goldsmith forced his servant to be bitten by one of the spiders. He discovered that the bite only caused minor swelling around the wound. A 17th century Italian doctor concluded that tarantism was a feigned activity of malingerers. The tarantula was not the culprit. People just needed to vent. Others theorize that the tarantella may have developed with a Dionysian cult that was forced underground. In 1848, a man bought an ancient Egyptian mummy from a shopkeeper in Alexandria. For years, he put it on display as a decoration, not realizing how strange of an artifact he'd found. After peeling off her bandages a few decades later, though, scientists found something very unusual. The mummy had been wrapped in the linen pages of a book, and it wasn't written in Egyptian. It took years of investigation to figure out what language it was. It is written in Etruscan, the language of an ancient civilization that once lived in modern-day Italy. It's a language we know little about. The words wrapped around this mummy make up the longest Etruscan text we've ever found. There are still a lot of questions left unanswered, though. For one thing, we still don't know what the text says. We can only understand a few words, which seem to be dates and the names of gods. Beyond that, we can only speculate as to what it means or why anyone would wrap an Etruscan book around an Egyptian dead body. Was she Etruscan? If so, what was she doing in Egypt? And what did she put in her final message to the world?
The two greatest mysteries in all of science are: 1. What happened before creation? Why did we have a Big Bang? What caused it? Are there other universes, a multiverse before the Big Bang? That's outer space. Then the second mystery is inner space. Yes, what goes on behind your eyeballs? We have 100 billion neurons in your brain, as many as stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Each neuron is connected to 10,000 other neurons. And so, what is the brain?
What if I told you the reason pigs' eyes look so human is more disturbing than you think? Think about it. Pigs have human-like organs, human-like skin, human-like eyes, and even human-like emotions. But no one questions why. There's a reason why, when you lock eyes with certain pigs, they seem so self-aware, so unsettlingly familiar, that you start to believe there's a trapped soul lurking behind that lonesome gaze. And maybe there is. See, pigs aren't just similar to humans. They're eerily similar. Their skin is used for burn grafts. Their heart valves have been transplanted into humans. Their organs are so close to ours that scientists are actively experimenting with full-blown pig-to-human transplants. They call it coincidence. But if that's true, why does every part of them feel like a compatible version of us? And it's not just physical. Pigs feel like us too. They recognize their own names. They dream. They grieve, crying out for lost companions. Some pigs have even been caught playing video games, not because they were forced to, but just out of boredom. So the question is, why? Why is there an animal walking around with human organs, human skin, human-level emotions? Ancient texts across different cultures say that a group of people were once turned into pigs as punishment. Major religions, old mythologies, each has its own version of this transformation. And if that's true, then pigs aren't just animals. They're living proof of a curse. Maybe that's why multiple religions ban pork outright. Not for health reasons, not for hygiene, but because consuming it is an absolute violation of something much deeper, something we weren't meant to approach. And here's where it gets even darker. Unlike dogs, pigs are biologically unable to look up at the sky. Their neck structure and muscle limitations make it physically painful to even try, so they don't. They live their entire lives forced to face downward, never able to lift their gaze to the sky, like a creature cast down, never meant to rise again. And here's the final piece of the puzzle. the part that makes people uncomfortable. There are certain people who have done the worst things imaginable, people whose morality is long gone, and when they're asked, when they're pressed about it, they always say something disturbing, pork paste, just like something we're all too familiar with. So the next time you look into a pig's eyes and feel something staring back, something that knows, ask yourself, do you really want to chow down on that BLT? I'm going to go ahead and say this is just a joke for entertainment purposes. What if I told you they're selling cockroach milk? No, seriously. A new study claims it's 3 times more nutritious than cow's milk. They say it's got protein, essential amino acids, and all the good stuff. Some even call it a superfood. Now listen, I'm not here to comment on whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying, if this is really the future of nutrition, I think the oligarchs should be the first ones in line. A decade-long trial on them just to be safe. But here's the thing. They can convince the public of almost anything. I mean, if they wanted, they could probably get people to rub doggy deposits on their face like it's some kind of luxury skincare treatment. Or better yet, they could even put it on the menu and no one would blink. Puppy Presents, they'd call it. All they'd have to do is get the right influencers to push it, get celebs to act like it's a must-have wellness product, and boom, suddenly it's a trend. Floor brownies would be added to the menu. They did it with other things before, didn't they? Say something enough times, and people just accept it. That's how you shape perception, and it works. The same way they convince people to keep their distance, like some unseen force was making the rules. They even got some of us clapping, cheering at certain times of the day, following some kind of ritualistic group behavior. Some of us were even standing in the street banging pots and pans together like cavemen discovering fire for the first time. Just look at what they're calling the future of food these days, and just know that many people would go along with it, but not me. Crazy? Maybe. But ask yourself, would this really be the first time? I'm going to go ahead and say this is just a joke for entertainment purposes.